Do another video on power and money. And I'm not going to tell you, of course, where I work at or who I work with or any of that nature, at least by names or anything, or place names. But, I work with these people that, they're cool. They're all cool, don't get me wrong, but the people that I work with, immediately work with, my coworkers in my department, are very into money. They're very much into money. I'm into money only to the degree that so I can get by and pay my bills and have maybe a couple bucks here and there for something like a vaping product or like like maybe a new RDA or something like that, or a mech mod or whatever have you. But these people I work with are really into money, and they're almost somewhat cutthroat with each other over this money. They're highly competitive. To me, it makes me sort of laugh, because to me, the people that I work with aren't just in it to pay their bills, but they're also in it to just mass as much money as they can, and not caring so much of whose toes they tread over. Okay, and it just amuses me, actually. I find that rather funny. But my point to this video is that money ties pretty much everyone around the world. We have, 7 billion people on the earth. So about 90% of the people around the earth are tied, or maybe even higher than that. I'd say 95% of the people around the earth are tied by money. Will all have the money in, even the people that are living under a bridge, they have to panhandle to make some money, so they can buy maybe, a cracker or something, or a piece of bread, or a candy bar, or some liquor, or whatever the hell have you, or some drugs or whatever. And then you have, people that even live off the government through welfare and food stamps and all that other stuff, right? It's still money. Or people that are elderly, that are dependent upon Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security or pension checks or whatever have you, is money. So we all tied into money. We all have this wavelength of money, okay? Thinking that it gives us power, which is completely wrong, okay? You think that because I got this money, I'm really something else. Look at me, I'm driving around in a flashy car. I live in a nice house or a mansion, or a nice, I can like my other video. Eric Clapton just bought this gorgeous fucking $14 million US dollar. He's bought it for some time, but anyway, he bought this beautiful yacht, which, don't get me wrong, it's a gorgeous yacht, okay? So people like that are musicians and actors. Actors are paid $30 million a movie or whatever, you have executives that work in New York City or in California, in Chicago, in Houston, or in France or England or whatever, that make, $1,000 an hour, that, easily make, $10 million a year with not even sweating it, okay, without a sweat. People that even make $50 million a year without a sweat, okay? So all these people have all this money that pretty much, depended upon how much money you make, you can buy more shit, you can live a little better than someone else, as far as better is concerned, meaning, in a nicer house, everything is brand new kitchen appliances, brand new furniture, you can buy some nice paintings, the newest or the latest model of a stereo system, latest model of a 100-inch TV set. You could be driving in a Maserati or a Porsche or a Mercedes-Benz, the latest model with everything, like it looks like a spaceship. Okay, or you can buy, like Eric Clapton, a gorgeous yacht. And he's not the only one. There's many other people that can afford yachts, okay? And you buy all this stuff. Or you could be just like people, like the people I work with, that just, they just like to compete with each other for the money, okay? So, and it's not a lot of money either, but to them it's a lot of money. Okay, so putting that in perspective, okay, then you have that 5% of the world that even though they have money, they have one thing that does not tie you and I or Eric Clapton or Tom Cruise or who's the latest big what was his name? Robert Downey Jr. What he gets paid like what $50 million a movie or whatever. I don't know if that's the exact figure, but he's like the highest paid actor in Hollywood, you know. But anyway, and more power to him. I really don't care, you know. But the thing is you know, these actors or musicians that get paid a huge amount of money, or painters or sculptors, or you know, business executives or business owners or whatever have you. They make all this money, but there's one thing they don't have. They don't have, and that is power. Power they don't have. Now, the 5% that are around the world, or like I've talked about many a time in my videos, the wealthy elite families, not only do they have money, which they have substantial amount of money, and most of that is in natural mineral rights and water rights and electricity and gas and oil and all this other stuff. And not only that, but a massive amount of land investment that they just sit on for decades, okay? Not only that, but they have power in the form of controlling that 95% or so of people that have one thing in common, that is money. You don't have the power to change the world. You have money to change your life, or to change, you know, you say, well, you know, I'm tired of driving around in my Porsche today. I think I'm going to go and buy a Tesla. You know, I can only do so much with this Porsche. I've had this Porsche for 1 month. I bought it brand new last month, but it's just not good enough for me. I'm going to go buy a Tesla. I'm going to buy a top-of-the-line Tesla. That's what I'm going to do. So you go buy your Tesla and you think you're like the king of the world. Well, you're not the king of the world, but you are driving around in a very nice vehicle. Okay? Same like you say, yeah, well, you know, I have this 12-bedroom house, and I have 10,000 acres of land. I think I'm going to go buy a mansion there in France somewhere. It has 25,000 acres of land, and I even maybe I could own that mountain a little bit, or I have a huge ranch with all the best thoroughbreds in the world, and have the greatest horses and mate them, and that'd be a new hobby. I think I'll buy a horse that costs $5 million a piece. So I'll buy 2 of them. Buy one horse for $5 million, another horse for $5 million, and mate them so I can have another horse, or a pony. I guess you call them a pony. I don't know much about horses. I used to ride them when I was young in camp, but that's about it, as close as I ever really got to, quote-unquote, owning a horse. But I'm going to take this $5 million horse, and this $5 million horse, I'm going to breed them, and hopefully I could wind up with a $25 million horse in the process. And then I'm going to race them, and hopefully I can win that next trophy, and, that kind of lifestyle. But that's only a money lifestyle, and you think you're really it. You think you're the king of the world. Well, you're not. You're not at all the king of the world. I mean, there are those that are the king of the world, which has a lot to do with the kings and the queens, or royalty, has a lot to do with the wealthy elite families. I mean, or you marry into that. Has a lot to do with heritages, and that has to do with real estate that stays in the family for, thousands of years. And I'm not just talking about England either. I'm talking, it could be in China. They have dynasties in China, even to this day. And they have that somewhat in America, though America is somewhat new. You know, it's only been around for a little over 200 years, but there have been families in America that marry into these royal families that are very, very wealthy. And these are the people that actually change social policy. It actually changes social policy, political policy, economic policy, all around the world. And these are the ones that run the world. These are the ones that have power. And it's drawn out of the wealthy elite families that have been around for a very long time. So my point of this video is this. If you think you got all the money in the world and you got yourself a Porsche, but I'm going to buy a Tesla, and I have a 12-bedroom house, but I'm going to go buy a 20-bedroom house, and I don't know, I've got $5,000 in a shoebox, but in about another 6 months I should have $8,000 in that shoebox, or whatever have you. To think that you have power. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. So in other words, you can save up all you like. You can make all the money you like. Make all the money, be competitive against each other. Make all the money you like. Cutthroat, so to speak. Tread on people's toes. Save those $1 bills or $10 bills or $20 bills, even $50 bills. Try to make that money. Try to make that money. Save up, save up, save up. And you could be saving forever, ever. If you could live for 5,000 years and save up, you still would not have power. Because power is, I'm not talking about Obama power. I'm not talking about Biden power. I'm not talking about even NSA director power. Okay, now that's some serious power. Like the NSA and the CIA, that's some serious power. But that's not the power I'm talking about. Because, for instance, these wealthy elite families that have been tied together for centuries or thousands of years, they could take the NSA and flip it upside down on their pinky or their index finger and twirl around in the air and just go boom. Yeah, they could take the NSA and go pew. There you go, off you go into the air. That's how powerful these guys are. If the wealthy elite families didn't think that the NSA served them in any way, they would go, you're out of a job. Take that entire agency and put it aside, and it's over. But apparently the NSA and agencies like that, not just here in America, but all over the world, apparently serve the people that are really in power, these wealthy elite families. It actually serves them for whatever it may serve them for, like for control. For control. Control the masses. And one main thing that the masses around the world, the 7 billion people around the world, are basically all tied in together with, is money. Money is the basic currency that ties everyone together. Yeah, like I said, you can even be a panhandler. Now, unless you actually live off the land with vegetables and plants and seeds and nuts and berries and things of that nature, or you hunt animal or whatever have you, and you're a survivalist, and you can live off the lands somewhere deep in the mountains, somewhere where no one finds you, or maybe in the, I don't know, in the mountains, in the snows of Alaska or North Canada or South Pole, North Pole. Unless you're doing that stuff, then then you're not a part of the system that ties everyone together and that is by money. Then you can get yourself out of that system. But unless you're able to do that and live completely off of nature and be completely self-sustained, meaning off of the land, you're part of that system that the money ties everyone together. And you could, those that are able to be survivalists out there in the mountains or in the woods or in the snows or whatever have you, are actually quite independent of the system. And they're probably about the only ones that are free. And I'm not talking about the ones that are trying to escape the law or anything. I'm talking about people that decide, I'm going to go live in the mountains. I'm going to live off the land. I'm going to hunt animal, deer, squirrel, whatever, rabbit, whatever. I'm going to live off the land, or could even be a vegetarian, just live off berries and nuts and plants and vegetables or whatever have you, and live off maybe even eat insects. I mean, some people, if you know what you're doing, you can eat insects. There's plenty of insects you can eat. Not that I would, but I'm sure there are, though. If you process it properly, I'm sure you could eat it. And there's much more insects than there are animals. Probably more insects than there are plants or vegetables. I don't know. I wonder what the statistics on that is. But the thing is if you could live off the land and go up in the mountains somewhere and be completely left alone and build your own log cabin, bring an axe with you or whatever, and your chopping takes you a couple of years to build that log cabin, and you're up there in the middle of nowhere where no one sees you, not even the NSA and their huge cameras that look down onto the world, their satellite dishes and all that, and you're deep in the woods somewhere of Alaska or somewhere in North Canada or something, and you haven't broken any laws or anything, you just want to be left in peace, then yeah, I would consider you pretty free. I mean, you would never see this video because you're not part of the grid, that is the electrical grid, or you don't even have a phone, or a tablet for that matter. Then I would consider yourself, I would consider that a person or persons that are free from the system that's tied in by money. Yeah, but they're probably the only ones free of those that are in power. But they're I don't know what the percentage of them are, but there are probably one in maybe 100 million that do that. There's not very many that do that. There might be only maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred people around the world that actually do that. I don't know what statistics on that is, but that, And I'm talking about those that aren't, that are not felons or, that are not on the run or on the lam from the law or fugitives or any of that. I'm talking about someone that just says, I'm going to go live in the woods. Yeah, then you can consider yourself actually free of the system. But outside of that, which is extreme minute, extreme, less than 1% of the 7 billion people around the earth, unless you do something like that, then yeah, you're all tied, including myself, by the way, all tied into the system by one currency, and that is money. And it doesn't matter if it's a yen or it's a pound or it's a euro or it's US dollar or whatever the hell have you. You could be in the Middle East, whatever their money is. It doesn't matter. You're all tied into that basic system through money. And the people that control that whole, or the masses, even from the panhandler that has to beg on the streets, he's still looking for a dollar bill, right? For whatever it may be. To the person that lives quite nicely in a mansion or even a castle. There are musicians and artists and business executives that live in castles in England that make, that are worth probably worth, $100 billion or $50 billion or whatever hell have you. Even though you have those extremes from the panhandlers to those that are worth 50, 60, 70 billion dollars. They're still all tied into that whole system of money. And even though he has, or she has, or the family has $50 billion, worth of money, they still, believe it or not, they still do not have power. They still do not have power because they're not either married into those wealthy elite families that have lasted for centuries, if not thousands of years, or they just were never born into it. There's only two ways to do it. You either marry into it, into these wealthy elite families, or you're born into these wealthy elite families. There's no other way to get into those wealthy elite families. It's not like you just become a wealthy elite family. You know, it doesn't work that way. And it's mainly royalty, like the kings and the queens, like Queen Elizabeth over there. I mean, you ain't gonna fuck with her. I don't care. And they say, well, you know, she's a figurehead. You know, she's just a administrative head. Oh, bullshit. You kidding me? I would never fuck with her. I mean, you would disappear overnight. Actually, there wouldn't even be, the word disappear would not even appear. That's a serious wealthy elite family that runs throughout the centuries. Like when Diana married into that type of elitist family structure. She was one lucky little girl. And boy, when she left, when she thought of divorce, which is really unheard of in that kind of system, though it goes on, but it's done quietly. But because she was such a celebrity, they were like, okay, yeah, give me some money, go away. You know, they really didn't want to have anything to do with her. They say, yeah, she's nice and all this bullshit. They didn't want to have anything to do with her ass, believe me. If there is a divorce within the wealthy elite families, it's done very quietly. No one knows about it. And that's how they operate. They operate very, very quietly. You never hear a word. All you know is Queen Elizabeth over there. But right now, you know, all she has to make is one phone call or write a letter to whoever she writes it to, or however it's done. And things get done. Seriously. I mean, anyone that's in the British Parliament, they get a phone call from the Queen of England, and well, it's going to change. Whatever policy you have, you could say, well, it didn't change because of her, but it changed because of this reason. Yeah, well, maybe you said that, but that's not why it changed. It changed because the Queen wants it changed. And she's not the only one. She's, you know, I'm not picking on the Queen of England here, but all these kings and queens, and these types of families that are very wealthy, elite, they're the ones that run the fucking show. They're the ones that can change policy in a second, just because they want to. Not that they need to, but because they want to, because they can. And so, change social policy, economic policy, political policy, whatever have you. And I'm not talking about the Bilderbergers either. The Bilderbergers are really a joke. You know, don't get me wrong. They control a lot of the economic and social and political policies. But believe me, they're not power that you think they are. They're more like just guys that get together. Like, for instance, a perfect example, David Rockefeller, or, I don't know, Alan Greenspan, or Ben Bernanke, or I don't know who else goes to these goddamn Bilderberg meetings. I don't even keep up on all that shit. But anyway, these characters don't have power that I'm talking about. Unless they marry into one of those families, yeah. But I don't know if David Rockefeller ever married into one of those families. I don't know if any of the Rockefellers actually, they probably did marry into one of these wealthy elite families. I'm sure one of the members probably did. But unless that happens, and their offspring, so that has a lot to do with it, is when, let's say you marry into one of these wealthy elite families, and then you have a child. Oh, that child is, well, blessed quite well. That child can do no wrong. When that child grows up, he or she is taken care of quite well, and quietly, very quietly. They do things very quietly. Like this Bilderberg stuff, right? That's why I know automatically that the people that are in power, these wealthy elite families, have very little to do as members of this Bilderberg conference crap, okay? Or the Council on Foreign Relations. Or what is the other? Royal International Institute of Affairs, or whatever the hell it's called in England. Or, these people are just puppets, really. They're really no different than fucking Obama or any of these motherfuckers. Biden, any of them. Pelosi, whoever comes to mind. No different than any of these motherfuckers, believe me. The people, the wealthy elite families, okay, could attend one of these Bilderberg conferences, but they just use that as a way of maybe getting something done within the world, but they care less about being a Bilderberg member. I mean, the Queen of England is not going to be showing up at the Bilderberg meeting anytime soon. I can promise you that. That's a promise. She's not going to be showing up for a Bilderberg meeting. Or any of those guys. You might have maybe like a duke or a duchess, or a duchess, not a duchess. You might have a duchess or maybe a duke. I don't think any prince or princess would be doing that. But you'll probably maybe have a duke or maybe a duchess that might show up for a Bilderberg meeting. But that's about it. But they're much on the lower rung of that wealthy elite families. And I would imagine that's even rare. Now, you'll have prime ministers and shit like that. Stuff like that. But that's about it, You might, like I said, you might get a duke or a duchess, but that's probably the highest you're ever going to get as far as the wealthy elite, within the wealthy elite structure, to actually attend one of those meetings. A Bilderberg meeting, or a Council on Foreign Relations meeting, or a Trilateral Commission meeting, or whatever the hell you want to call it. All those types of meetings, that change economic, political, and social policy. Educational policy even as well. Of course, to me, educational is really social policy. Really, it's indistinguishable. Social engineering, things of that nature. It's the same thing as education. It's one and same thing, really. But anyway, so I wanted to just tell you the difference between the power and money. And everyone is tied, including myself, into the system of money for whatever reason it may be. And then there are those that are in power, which you nor I, unless I marry into one of them, and I'm sure they don't want me, so I'm the last person. Maybe if I was sort of raised differently, if my father didn't die when I was 2.5, maybe, because I have like the intelligence to maybe could have married into one of those wealthy elite families. I bet you like the CIA and the NSA, they say, God, if he wasn't so against us, man, he would be really great with us. I'm telling you, we could do a lot with this guy. I mean, this guy's no dummy, this guy's a pretty smart guy, he's a smart cookie, we could really use him well. Man, too bad, he doesn't have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Man, I would love to have had him in the NSA. Oh man, he thinks strategy and all this stuff. Oh wow, Well, maybe if I grew up different, it would have been a total different. And maybe also if the government did so much shit to me. But we'll save that for another time. Maybe another time. I don't know. I'll leave it within the play. Anyway, so the naked truth. But the point is unless you marry into these families, these wealthy elite families, unless you marry into it or you're born into it, you're just another person that's chasing your tail or chasing the money. Around and round and round it goes. And you might be very rich, like a Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, or these are the poster boys of the rich, of course, or Warren Buffett, even. You could be a Warren Buffett. I mean, I have Geico insurance. That's Warren Buffett company. You know? I give my money to him. You know? So, and enriches him. He takes that, whatever amount that I pay each month, he takes that and probably makes 10 times as much off of that each month. Well, he's figured out a way. More power to him. I don't know. He figured out a way to make more money off of money. Oh, so that's his deal. He apparently gives him some kind of pleasure. And life's really all about pleasure. So go for it. I'm not like knocking money. I'm just putting it in perspective that there's money and there's power. Nothing wrong with it if you want to step on each other's toes for money and chase the tail around and around and around with the money, round and round and round and round and round. I say go for it. Knock yourself out. If it gives you pleasure and you can buy things you like, or you just like to hoard the money or away in a shoebox or whatever, or in a bank or whatever, yeah. If it gives you pleasure, you're not hurting anyone, knock yourself out. I don't care if you own 25,000 Teslas. I really don't care. You want to own a spaceship? Knock yourself out. But always remember one thing only. I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, or or a New York City business executive, or a worker at McDonald's, or a guy living under the bridge panhandling. You are not, and you will never be, a person with power unless you marry or you're born into one of those wealthy elite families. And as long as you have that in perspective, and that is reality, and as long as you have that in perspective, then well, it's all for the good. It's all for the good. Well, I think it's all for the good. Because some people bullshit themselves thinking, I got all this money, I'm powerful. I could do anything. To a degree. As long as you're not hurting anyone and you're enjoying yourself, I say knock yourself out. 2 thumbs up for that. Knock yourself out. If it gives you pleasure, you're not hurting anyone, breaking any laws, I say hoard all the money you like and compete against each other for the money and spend your time on earth doing that. If that gives you pleasure, knock yourself out. Just remember, and hopefully you don't bullshit yourself thinking, well, you're like the wealthy elite family. No, you're not, and you never will be, unless 2 things happen. You're born into the wealthy elite family, or you marry into the wealthy elite family. And that is reality. Harsh as it may be, that's what it is. Anyway, you guys have a good day. Bye.